You're fine. How am I? There's an old joke among psychics, but for a Pisces moon, it's your daily reality. This shows the permeable nature of your emotional state. You absorb ambient energy, pulling external intentions directly into your internal space. This sensitivity is instantaneous. You process feelings so quickly, you act as a human lie detector when words fail to match moods. But the constant intake of other people's static creates a vacuum. It becomes difficult to see where your story ends and the rest of the world begins. Eventually, the chronic sensory overload takes a physical toll. On bad days, daily life feels like sandpaper on raw nerves, making a crowded room feel physically intolerable. How do you survive in a world that never stops screaming emotional information at you? Your deep empathy is tied directly to this vulnerability. To master it, you must move from being a passive sponge to a deliberate gatekeeper. This processing style is incredibly complex. You synthesize intuition, facts, and emotions simultaneously, spotting the trajectory of a problem long before it manifests. But when multidimensional data becomes too high, the internal system hits a bottleneck. You simply cannot process the input fast enough. To an outsider, this looks like dithering or coldness. In the middle of an argument, you might suddenly go still or fail to respond. You aren't ignoring the situation. You are experiencing a total system freeze caused by the sheer weight of the emotional data you're receiving. This withdrawal isn't a lack of concern. It's the result of caring so much that your internal processor has temporarily shut down to protect itself. When your system is clear, that same processing power allows you to consciously tap into a rich, bubbling wellspring of imagination. However, you have to navigate a very fine line between genuine intuition and a runaway imagination. When you get a strong intuitive hit but lack the facts to explain it, your mind invents a story to fill the gap. It frantically connects dots that might not actually belong together. While this narrative satisfies the need for an answer, it frequently leads your judgment off base and creates a false reality. To use your gifts safely, you must pause and verify the facts before letting your imagination turn a feeling into a final conclusion. In your personal life, you are deeply considerate. You prefer authentic, personalized gestures over cliches because you take the time to actually perceive what a partner values. Without boundaries, your identity begins to merge with your partner's. Your own emotional story stops being distinct, bleeding into theirs. This lack of separation leads directly into a cycle of codependency, where you become trapped by their emotions. When you finally feel backed into a corner, you deploy a sharp defense. You intuitively know exactly where someone is most vulnerable, and you sting them there with cold, surgical precision. These defensive patterns only emerge when your boundaries have been neglected. Maintaining your own emotional space is the only way to stay compassionate. If you're dealing with a Pisces moon, share from the heart and keep your touch light. They respond far better to empathy than to cold, hard logic alone. At work, give them the autonomy to set their own conditions. Trust their ability to synthesize information and spot upcoming trouble before it hits the bottom line. If you were born with this moon, you may have learned as a child to manage a caregiver's overwhelming emotions by absorbing them. Now you have to unlearn that survival habit and start prioritizing your own distinct feelings. When you feel too amorphous, lean into your Virgo counterpart. Organizing your physical space or sorting through data helps you rebuild the boundaries you need to stay grounded. You can also use water to physically clear your energy field. Showering or swimming after a long day helps wash away the ambient stress you've picked up from others. When you tune your receptors toward joy rather than passive anxiety, your sensitivity stops being a burden. It becomes a specialized tool that allows you to navigate the world with a level of perception most people never experience.